So, ladies' night. What's up? I don't own the rights to this music because Facebook will delete you real quick. So I do not own the rights to this song. But let's get it poppin'. What's up, my peoples? What's going on? We got Instagram on the live. We got Facebook popping. I got my director and producer in the background looking sexy as always. What's up, guys? And you know, my shirt is all about love. If you read it, it's love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Y'all know that Bible verse. What's up, Thursday night, ladies night? What's up? Let's get it popping real quick. Even though we about to talk about Jesus Almighty, we can still turn up. Cheers. I got my water. Cheers. I don't own the rights to this song, guys. I do not own the rights to this song. I'm about to get it in. We're about to go in. What's up? What up? It's about to go. All right, let's go. All right. So, what's up, family? What's up? My hair looking wild tonight. I wanted to be wild for the ladies' night. Was about to put it up, but it's all good. So, a praying wife. So this topic to me, I'm excited. I'm really excited about this one. I was about to pull out the Bible and everything, but you know, I got the Bible verses in this book, so I said, you know, let me not go too deep on y'all and have y'all having a what is it, a Bible class that they do, right, babe, Wednesdays? The Bible study. So, but anyways, I wanted to ask you guys before we get into the topic. This one looks a little bit darker. Maybe it's because it's on the light. Let's move it over here. There you go. Okay, much better. Looks a little bit better, the blurriness, but it's cool. So listen, family, let's get to it, right? Y'all know I want to ask. First and foremost, do you believe in praying for your husband? Bam. Straight to it. And if there's men on the line, respond. Do you believe that your wife should pray for you? Or do you believe in prayer? Or do you pray for your wife? You know, and this is not like forcing no religion on anybody. You know, however, the Barkers are all about God, and that's the number one thing in marriage, and that's what the Bible says, and that's what we say, right? So, do you believe in prayer for your spouse? That's the number one question I wanted to ask first, right? Then, when you guys chime in on that, the biggest reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I recently learned several years back the value and the importance of what it means to pray for your husband, right? Because we're talking to the ladies tonight. The power in prayer. And, you know, growing up Catholic, I'm going to get to a quick, 2-minute background. Growing up Catholic, this wasn't really discussed. Like, it wasn't really talked about, it wasn't really talked about like with prayer, in the household, like for the spouse. Of course, yes, we prayed as Catholics, of course. Like, God is first regardless. I grew up in prayer in the church. But as I got older, well, really once I got married, and a couple years ago when Brandon and I kind of went through a little bit of a struggle. You guys know we talked about this. We've talked about, our challenge year or a couple years ago. And thank God to one of my close friends, she would pray with me on the phone, and she would explain to me the power of prayer. And of course, I understood as, especially with our church, they would talk about the value and the power of prayer itself, but getting more into detail with the power of praying for your spouse. That's when, I was at first, I'm like, is it that powerful? Like, is it really that good? And my friend and I would sit here at 2-3 in the morning praying, and at that time, one of my biggest prayers, and this might be silly to you guys, I'm being very, I'm real, keep it honest, keep it transparent. One of my biggest prayer was that my husband was in love with me again, was madly in love with me again, because of course, being real, when we went through some struggles back about 3 years ago, you kind of, I don't want to say you don't love each other, but you kind of, you might fall out of love. And it happens in marriage, and I'm just being realistic. Y'all probably would not know now because we're so, in love with each other. But there was a time that we were not about each other. Our priority wasn't us. We were going through some things. And I really prayed really, really strategically and intentional. I learned a lot about intentional prayer. I learned about, in the Bible, it says to really be specific with what you want. And I would say, like, man, God, like, that Brandon, falls madly in love with me again. That we go back to how we dated. We go back to, each other being priority. And when you're going through a challenge in your marriage and in the journey, these prayers are needed. Even though at the time you're like, oh, this is just not it, and there was times that I would ask in prayer, like, is this what is marriage? Like, is this what I'm supposed to be going through? Am I supposed to be okay with us not being into each other? Am I supposed to be okay with the journey? And of course, you just got to listen to God and pay attention, because of course, every marriage, you ask every marriage has been through a challenge and a struggle, right? So I prayed that he falls in love with me, that he's madly in love with me, that I was like even obsessed with love with me, that he's all over me, that he's all about me. These prayers were for real, even though at the time we didn't really like each other, but I knew like where we were, like in the past. I knew we did have a love, and we had the kids and we were married. But at the time, it was just not happening, right? So I prayed all these things about 3 years ago, right? Fast forward to now. And I just thought about this the other day when I was on the phone with my homegirl, that she was the one that was praying with me at 2, 3 in the morning, helping me, because she was like, girl, 2 is better than 1. It says it in the Bible. We come together, we pray, the power of prayer, power of a lady, a woman praying, blah, blah, blah. And we were talking, because I was like, yo, you remember when I used to be like, man, God, I pray that, Brandon like falls like madly in love with me again. I pray that he is, obsessive with the love and me and all these things. And do I tell y'all, won't he do it? That's what they say, right? Won't he do it? My husband is more into me. There's times that he's more into me than I am into him. And for y'all that know me, I'm very into Brandon. I'm very into my husband. I'm very madly in love. I'm very, like, he's number one besides God. It's God and then him, but he's priority. Y'all heard my the other day, like, I spoil him. It's all about him, right? But he's gotten to, like, pass me. Like, now he's, like, out serving me. He's like so in love with me. He's like, babe, what do you want? Like, and I'm sitting back with my friend like, oh my gosh. Like the prayers that I said 3 years ago. Pay attention, wives. 3 years ago. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, one, I'm transparent. Some of y'all don't know our story. 2, some of you guys watching this, some of you wives and even the husbands that chime in watching this might be going through a struggle or through a challenge or through a hard time where you maybe don't believe in prayer, where you maybe don't believe that it can change, or you don't believe it can work. I'm here to tell you that it works, okay? Prayer is the most powerful thing out there, especially a praying wife, right? And then someone said this earlier. It said delayed prayer does not mean denied prayer. I had to write it down. I was watching a YouTube earlier, because you guys know I study what I talk about. Like, we're really serious about this marriage platform, this marriage encouraging. And tonight was so big for me because this really changed our marriage, like for real. And it said, delayed does not mean denial. Think about this. 3 years ago, when I prayed this, and if I would have said a month later, like, he's still not obsessed with me, he's still not in love, he's still not this, he's still not that, and I would have just been like, oh, well, it's done and over with. And I would have thought that God was denying my prayer, but yet he was just delaying for the right time for us to be a better person for each other and in a better place. It was huge. It was huge, right? It was huge, right? So for the people that are just getting on, I'm talking about power for praying wife. Do you believe in praying for your spouse? Do you believe in your spouse praying for you? All right? That's real talk. Like some people, and sometimes we don't even think about it. And if you do, how often do you believe in the prayer? Is it like once a day? Is it once a month? Is it once a week? How often do you guys go into this? Okay, and I'll tell you guys about me. I go hard. Hard. When I tell you hard in the paint, y'all know how they say that, hard in the paint? Y'all know, people that know me, I am like obsessed over my husband, right? So imagine how much prayer I do. Like, he'd be like, you praying? Did you just pray again? Like, you prayed about that? And I'd be like, yo, I prayed about all of this. Like, all of this. Like, you don't understand. And he started to see the power of when I prayed, because so many things would come to fortune, like bam, bam. I remember one time we were headed out to Europe, and he was like literally about to miss his flight. And like, no lie, because something happened at like the security, or it was just crazy. He was on I think it was a different flight from us. It was just crazy. And I was in the plane we were in, because I think he was getting on the plane, like, I don't know how it happened, but I was literally on my flight and literally praying. Like, if I had a Bible, I would have pulled it out. Like, please, Lord, like, that he doesn't miss his plane. Like, I was going in. And do y'all believe that the plane got delayed for, I don't even know what was the reason, but he made his flight and it got delayed. So he was able to get on and he was good. Right? So then I was like, okay, good. He's on the plane. I didn't hear from him. He was texting me. So I'm like, I'm sure he's good. Then he got to, I think it was New York that he was coming into. And I was like, okay, I pray that he like gets this ticket. I prayed because they canceled another one. It was just so much stuff. And I was just praying. And do I tell y'all, he got a ticket. He got rebooked. Did not get charged. Do you hear me? Because sometimes a lot of these airlines, especially international, they won't rebook you right away without charging you. He got, I don't even know if it was like transferred to like another airline. Listen, Lord knows what went down, but he got rebooked, did not get charged, and made it, I believe it was coming back home. Like, and now I was like going in on the prayer, like, Lord, please. So I'm heavy on it. I literally, every day, every morning, every mid-morning, afternoon, lunch, snack, dinner, prayer is huge. What's up? We got a couple people chiming in. We got Miss Kathy. We got my boy Omar. We got another boy, Hero. What's up, guys? Chime in. Throw some comments. Do you believe in praying for your spouse? That's my main question for the night. The power of a praying wife, right? It doesn't mean that we're taking control over our husband just because I'm talking about praying and that you want to change him. This is not about the change. And that's one thing that when I started learning about prayer, because I really wanted to understand it when it came to praying for my husband and my marriage, and I literally had to learn it wasn't about changing him. Listen to that. It was not about changing him. All right? It was about praying for his transformation in our marriage and the person he was growing into. It wasn't about changing. I'm not sitting here saying, as a praying wife, I'm sitting here like, okay, God, I need you to tell him to come get these dishes. I need you to talk to him. No, that's not what I'm saying. Because trust me, and it sounds funny, but some of us might be doing that. Some of us might have done that. And it's okay. You can say if it was you or if it is you. I was that wife at the beginning when I wasn't understanding, when we would argue. God, if you could just tell him he's being such a jerk. Like, oh my, he cannot talk to me like this. He's so rude. Like, and I would say that. So then, chiming in, this book changed my life. And I don't get paid for promoting this book. I should, but I don't. Stormy is an amazing author. I love everything she writes. And This book, The Power of a Praying Wife, if you don't have it, get it tonight. Order it, Amazon. And if you can't get it, I can let you borrow it. Like, that's how serious this is, but I need it back. Like, I don't play about this book. Okay? This changed my life. This showed me and helped me. It's not about praying, Lord, change him to wash these dishes and to, pick up the pants that irritate my nerves. Or no. First, you know what this book said at first? This book went in first on the wife, the praying wife. You have to have a healing. You have to have a pure heart when you're praying for your husband. It's not about your husband. And that's what this book taught me. Like, it's not about pointing the finger at him. No, it's about Jennifer. I'm good. I'm healed. I'm covered. I'm pure. How can I help my husband? So, for example, instead of, oh, Lord, he gets these dishes, blah, blah, blah. No, help me understand what I can do as a wife. Because remember, just because it's a praying wife for your husband doesn't mean you're just praying for the husband. Like, oh, that my husband does this, that my husband does that my husband does it. No. Sometimes a prayer for your husband is about you. Like, listen, I had to pray so hard about having patience with Brandon because Brandon has the patience of like a snail or a turtle. Like, he's so like, y'all think I'm patient. He's like, yeah, babe, sure, that's cool. Kids could be fighting in front of him. He'd just be like, I'm like, you don't see the boys? Like, so I had to pray, Lord, search my heart to have and build patience for my husband. Because I really want to go and choke him because he still has not helped with the dishes, for example. We don't argue with that no more because you learn as you go. A simple conversation about dishes make no sense to be arguing with your spouse that easily can be gone tomorrow. So we're not even going to go to that conversation, but just for an example, right? So it doesn't mean that you control over them, right? Faith. What does faith mean, right? The evidence of things not being seen. The evidence of things not seen. So I believe, right? You have that faith. You have that faith. Like for me, I had the faith 3 years ago praying over him and for him about loving me, in love with me, about our relationship changing and growing, coming together, building communication, understanding. Do y'all know? This is another transparent part, right? Y'all gonna be like, this is crazy. Do y'all know that there was a time Brandon didn't like to talk to me about things? Some of y'all didn't even know that because we're so close right now. Because now he tells me, like now I'm on the phone with him 24/7. We talk 13 times a day. We're like, like we cannot be separated. Like he's there, I'm there. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's so different now. But there was a time, and I remember like I would cry and be like, man, I really wish, I pray God that my husband can communicate better with me. I pray that I understand his worries, that I understand, why he doesn't want to tell me certain things, why he doesn't feel comfortable. And we would have conversations. And he would mention to me at the time that when he would tell me certain things, he would say, sometimes you can't handle it, babe. Like you get such an attitude, you get so rude, and then you get angry. And he was telling me all these things about myself. So then I had to stop and pray about me. Like, Lord, when he tells me these things, I cannot want to cut his throat. For example, y'all know I wasn't cutting nobody's throat, but for example, hey, cuzzo. So I had to understand, Lord, search my heart. Like, okay, I have to get to the point where when Brandon does tell me a certain thing, he wants to sit and talk, I have to be more understanding. Okay, yes, babe, sure, of course. Versus what? And having an attitude and doing my whole neck and I can't believe this and you did that. No. So it was praying for him through me though. You know what I mean? So that was a big deal. And of course, y'all understand the prayer changes things. The power of the wife. We as the female, remember, we came from the male, right? If y'all know back in the Adam and Eve, if y'all know the whole story, We came like from that. So we have the power. We have that. And, I'm not going to get all technical because I don't want to mess something up. And I done said something wrong from the Bible. Then y'all over here quoting me bad things, and I ain't say it right. But all that matters is we came from the man. We have power. The female has power. You guys know this. We have power in the way we pray, in the way we talk, in the way we deliver our message. We are called to be the helper in the marriage, right? So we got to think about these things. We have to, as wives, we got to activate our faith. Y'all know the YouTube Holy Spirit activate. You already know, activate it. Activate that faith. Like literally, and this is what I mean by like the prayer time. I want y'all to understand that it's not just prayer time at nighttime. Because, and listen, if you're on here, this is no shame to you. It's no shame to you. But did y'all ever think that prayer was just for like right before bed and when you wake up? I was that person. I used to just be like, wake up in the morning. I'm not even sure if I used to be so like in the prayer in the mornings. I used to just get up and thank you, Jesus, I'm up. And then at nighttime, do my nightly prayer. But do you guys know that prayer is really just the conversations with God? Like people forget prayer is a conversation with God, conversation with Jesus, conversation with the Holy Spirit. All three at the same time, whatever you want to do. That's what that is. So when I told y'all, I started really learning about the prayer. Like prayer is a real deep. It's deeper than we think. It's deeper than we know. We need to tap into it. Tap, 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 tap in. Because it's deep. Prayer is the conversation with God and Jesus. So y'all know, especially wives that be talking to their husbands all the time. Y'all talk to your husbands 18 times a day, but y'all not having one conversation with God. Where they do that at? And I started to learn this. I was like, what? How I talk about, I'm all about God, but I only talk to him at nighttime and then in the morning sometimes? Wait a minute. Jen, you really not talking to him 13 times a day like you talk to your husband? So who's really first? Oh, knocking on some toes, stepping on some toes. Who's really first? So me, when I learned this value of prayer and the growth and the power of prayer, y'all don't mess with me. I'll be praying throughout, going to the bathroom. And listen, I'm so serious. When I go out, listen to this. When I wash my hands, some people be like, sing happy birthday and do this. And like they teach the kids. No. My kids know when you washing your hand, you're praying. Thank you, Jesus, for this water. Thank you for cleaning these germs. Thank you, Lord, for the sick, for the home. Like what we doing a prayer. And that's like at least, 30 seconds, right? A minute. It's not no, let's sing happy birthday. No, we about to. So listen, this household. So if y'all ever come to Georgia, to the Barkers, prayer, washing our hands, in the shower, making breakfast. I put on my morning prayer. You know what I mean? Like praying. And then the power of the wife praying for the husband, which is what tonight is about. Y'all don't understand how many times I pray about Brandon. When he leaves for work, I be asleep. This is how serious it is. And I want wives to practice this because maybe we don't all do this. When he leaves, because he leaves at like 4 or 5 in the morning sometimes. He comes in the room, bye, babe, I'm leaving. Do y'all know? Very true. Exactly. Do y'all know that literally I be in the bed like, Jesus, Lord, that Brandon makes it safe to work. And I just be back to bed. Like, I don't even open my eyes. I just, in my mind, in my head, I'm praying to him that for one, my husband makes it safe to his job. Because it's 4 or 5 in the morning. It's still dark. There might be somebody out there drunk driving, coming late from the club. Or, you know what I'm saying? So many things can go down. He could, just so many things. Boom. Already done knocked out one prayer for the day. Right? Wake up in the morning with the boys. I'm grateful. I'm thankful for my husband. Thank you for him getting up to go to work and providing. Thank you, for being able to answer my calls just because in the mornings when I'm getting the boys ready. And it's just so many times. And then sometimes I feel the energy and the vibe when I talk to him from work. And I'll like, okay, I'm going to, drop off the boys, or I'm going to go do this. And it might be a scenario where I'm literally like, I remember like, okay, he just mentioned to me he's not, or I can hear in his tone, something is off at work, or the energy or the vibe. And I could be like, simple, Lord, that you ease his day, that he gets home and he has a great rest of his evening, or that his coworkers, they do good, or, like just little stuff. Listen, I'm going to ask y'all this. If you're not praying for your husband, who is? The mom? My husband's mom passed away years ago. So I know I know she protects him and covers him. But who else? I'm pretty sure his dad does. But like on a daily, consistent 50,000 times in a day, who is? So how is your husband being protected? How is he being covered? And then, don't get me started with this book. It goes about different chapters that is important for us to pray about, right? Write it down. Write down your prayers. Write down if you feel like you guys are going through a struggle or a change or something financially, something, spiritually, or something with the kids, or a decision that you guys are not sure about. There's been times that me and Brandon will be talking, and he'll be like, babe, what do you think we should do? And I'm like, I don't even know. I gotta think about it. And I'll just be throughout my day, and I'm just like, Lord, that you clear me and my husband's head on what guidance you want us to do with these situations. The power of a praying wife is huge, right? Write it down, wives. If you got into an argument with your husband about something, he wasn't understanding you, you guys are not getting along or whatever, write it down. Have that journal where you're writing down certain things that you want to sit back and pray about. And remember, this doesn't have to be at nighttime. Like, whoever said you have to do the nighttime prayer? I'm not saying you don't do it. You do it on top of the 30 prayers a day. Like, make it a goal. Like, I challenge you, wives, to make it a goal to have 20 times a day prayer. And y'all got to remember, too, like, a prayer doesn't have to be the whole hour long. And don't get me wrong to my church folks. I'm a church person, too. There's the one prayer lady that she prays for a whole 3 hours, right? I get it. But you do realize, remember, a prayer is a conversation with God, right? So you can literally just be walking from the kitchen to the bathroom and just be like, Lord, that you just keep my husband protected at work. He might be a driver, a truck driver, that he comes home safe. That, he's awake while he's driving. That's it. That might have been prayer number 13 for the day. Because that's how serious it is. Like, y'all don't understand, the devil is out to get marriages. For real. And I think that's one topic that me and my husband are going to talk about. Like, the devil is not playing. He will come. What's that? To kill, steal, and what, babe?
Seek and destroy.
Seek and destroy. For real. The number one thing that the devil wants to kill and destroy are marriages. So if you're not protecting your marriage every day, and you're protecting and covering your husband every single day, you're leaving him vulnerable on all aspects. All aspects. Like, my husband works in the corporate, right? So he sees a lot of people. People can also be females. Like, we gotta be real. I know I'm fine and all, but someone's always out there better than you too. At the end of the day, you're not, you know what I'm saying? I'm confident with me, but there's finer people everywhere. Like, it is what it is. So you don't think a finer person or somebody might just walk across the corporate world and try to look at your husband? I think my husband fine. So I'd be like, yeah, I think everybody wants him. He knows it. I don't play that. I think everybody wants the husband at the job. I'd be like, yup, they want you too. And he works with some white folks. No offense to my white people. he works with some white folks. I'd be like, yeah, that lady wants you. Y'all already know the story with the white folks and the black people. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know. So I'd be like, Jesus, Lord, get her. She better get away. I'm not playing that. I'll be praying like, protect him from all temptations. At the job, at the homeboys. I don't play. Like, it's that serious. And sometimes we feel like we can't, just because you don't see it, just because you might not believe it, you might not think it's going to really happen. Keep praying for your husband. If it's a situation where, finances might be a struggle for your spouse, or maybe they lost their job, or maybe, they're trying to figure out what to do on paying the house or paying the car, and just because you don't see it right away that you're praying for him to get this job, just because it doesn't happen immediately, doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Remember I said, delayed, not denial. So we just got to keep praying. Keep the faith. Because if you're just like, Lord, give him this job. Like, he's not, who hears that? Like that's it? That's all you're going to just one time? And it's been 5 years and you only prayed that one time 5 years ago? We have to be consistent, right? He wants to hear us. And then I wrote down, invite God in your husband's life for his greatest blessings. That's another big part of prayer. And I took that out of the book. That's a big deal when it comes to praying for your husband. You're inviting him into your husband's life to, give and bring and lift all his greatest blessings. Because you got to remember, and I heard this from Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey said, if you have a vision, God gave it to you. He didn't give it to the world. He gave it to you. So if your husband has a vision of, opening a corporate, company, or, he says, I want to get you that mansion one of these days, or whatever his vision is for anything in your life, in marriage or kids or whatever. That was his vision for y'all. Pray for that. Pray for it. I'd be like, Lord, Brandon wants this whole 7-bedroom, 5-bathroom house. He's been talking about the 3 acres. Like, that's not exactly what he said, but just an example, right? And you're praying for that as well. If you know your husband's needs, you know what he wants and what he desires, you pray that, lift it up, push it out there for the universe, push it out there so he can hear you. Because remember, even though they said he's the lead and he's the head, you're really like the one that pushes that and helps. Because they're busy. I'm not saying husbands don't pray, but when he's at the job, he's doing this, talking to people to, you pray, you see, and I'm pretty sure he does too throughout the day, but it's more of the praying wife versus the praying husband, right? Even though I'm going to get him the book, because there is a book for the praying husband. So that's a big deal too. Now, this one, I kind of asked a little bit about this earlier when I put, do you believe in praying for your husband? Do you argue? Do y'all yell? Do y'all fight? Do you, things happen where you guys are not on the same page? Or, what if there was an affair? Let's talk about it. Like, we haven't really gone into that. What if there was an affair? The adultery happened not just once, or maybe it happened multiple times. Are you praying for you guys to come together again? Are you praying for healing for your husband? Because temptation, I keep saying this, is real. Are you praying for that? Like, you got to also pray for yourself, for forgiveness and for healing. But remember, prayer is what you have to, as a wife, surrender whatever happened. Like, let me tell y'all, there's been scenarios. It's been getting better though, because I told you we're in a better place. When we weren't in this place, we would get into a situation and I would literally walk away and go to the bathroom and just sit and pray. Sometimes I would cry and pray. Like, because that's how bad it was. Like, I used to be like, I'm not feeling him. I really need to, like, if this is how, and I asked God, I'm like, if this is really how it, and this is how I talk to him too. I hope y'all pray like this. Like, listen, if this is what I'm supposed to be in this marriage for, you need to get this together, because this is not what I thought marriage was about or what it is. We weren't in that place. But I would, Brandon doesn't know all these details. He would be in his own zone, but he knew I would just go to the bathroom, or I would go to the room or something, or I just wouldn't talk to him for a little bit, because I needed to get my time. I needed to surrender my anger, surrender my, I would have to say like, okay, Jen, like you have to forgive him. This is your husband. Like you guys are going to talk. You guys, can come together. And I just kept believing. I kept believing. And, you got to wait because, it's not when you want it. It's not because I wanted, a week later for us to be fine and dandy and him to be all over me. No, that took time. It took time for us to build to where we are today. But it was to prayer. Like, honestly, through prayer and God, that, I want to say time that we went through or transition that we went through was because of this, right? So if you are in the stage where you're probably like, Jen, I don't even like talking to him. Or like the book was talking about, she wanted to pray like bad stuff over her husband because they were not in a good place. But she was like, but you don't do that. Like you don't. Like you might say like, Lord, that, he gets his act right, or he's get it together, or he helps out around the house or whatever. But you still have to have the faith. You still have to have the faith for your husband. Because at the end of the day, your tongue can either speak life or can speak, death. Like really, it really can. Can y'all imagine if when we were going through our journey of the bad time? Can y'all imagine if we didn't pray, because we both did, if we didn't communicate, and if I was saying bad things to him? Do you guys really think that we would be on here right now really trying to help the masses grow and encourage and uplift and improve your marriages? Probably not. Because if you're talking death, like, this ain't gonna work, he's not doing nothing, he's not helping, or so some of y'all, if y'all had, if it was an affair, he slept with this person, or he was doing this, or he's been in the streets, and that's just like the negative, the death, and bad, and it's just like the devil is just talking. You have to pray that out. Like, Lord, and this is one thing I learned from one of my other friends. She would mention, like, instead of being upset because, he wasn't doing the dishes, maybe switch it around. Ask God, like, okay, how can I help him? He didn't do the dishes. Okay, you're not going to argue and have an attitude about it. Just do it. Like our pastor told us one time, marriages, why are we arguing? If you're mad he didn't do something, you do it. That's it. Who said he was supposed to do this for you? Or at the house, who said he needed to do the dishes? Or he needed to, vacuum and clean up? Who said that? Nobody said that. You did. So if he didn't do it, just do it. Or just discuss it with him. Or, hey, it got to the point, I'm talking about the dishes because it was real in this house. It got to the point that I got a calendar. Like, for real. I'm going to help y'all out. My girl told me about this app called Cozy. C-O-Z-I. Cozy. That if y'all already don't have it, download it. Because that app, it links you and your spouse's accounts together. So whenever I put something on in the calendar, it bings his phone that I put something on the agenda. So I might have put pick up Fabian or Fabian soccer at 6:00. I put for both of us to get it. So he gets the little ping. He gets the alert, the reminder. He gets the whole shebang. So you can't tell me you didn't know I had a client at 2:00 and you are still not home and got the kids. I put it on, and of course I mentioned it like, hey babe, I got to do this and that. I put it on the app too because I want to have all that. So it got to the point that with that calendar, I put it on there. I haven't done it as much because we haven't been as feisty, but when we were, listen, I go to my calendar and be like, B, dishes. Jen cleaned up living room. It was that, it might have been a little petty, but it literally helped out our marriage from the little arguments. You know what I'm saying? And, you could put everything on there. You could put notes. You could put food stuff. There's days that I even put the sexual stuff, like dinner date, VIP access afterwards, wink, wink. You know what I'm saying? Like, he gets all that. So he knows, like, oh, wifey waiting for this on Friday. Okay, I'm about to get it popping. But it's real. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big deal. Talking about that. I discussed already about the enemy doesn't like prayer. The enemy wants to come in, right? You're not praying. That's kind of like your armor. You guys know, I don't know if you heard about this, but it's like having the armor protecting your marriage. When you're praying for your husband, you're praying for your marriage. So when the devil is around trying to creep in, when he done had 1, 2, 3 adulteries, and you're just not praying, you crying about he ain't nothing, he's sleeping with this, he's doing that. No, but you pray for your healing, pray for growth, pray for his heart. Switch it up. I know it sounds easy, and then it's easier said than done, but try it. How often should you pray for your spouse? I asked this earlier. How often do y'all think? I got several people on. How often do you guys think? And then, like I mentioned before, you got to first examine your heart. It's not, the praying is not about pointing the finger. And I had to learn that at the beginning. Because at first I used to be like, okay, God, can you tell Brandon that he's really getting on my nerves, and I need him to pick up the clothes that he leaves on the side of his bed for the last 13 years. It's been getting on my nerves. No, that's not, I wanted to pray like that. I wanted to say that, but that's not really what it was. It was, okay, what can I do? Or give me patience, or how can I talk to him? Or, you got to just switch it up. Or maybe another way to go around that is, pray for your husband's organization skills. The patience that you have to pray for his organization skills. Some of the topics on here I want to share with you before I get off is the power of a praying wife. Listen to this. There is, and I'm just going to go over a few of these chapters, like the titles, but I know I underlined what I wanted to go through this to share with you guys. But temptation, I mentioned that part, is a huge, huge, huge deal. So listen to this. Sometimes wives sabotage their own prayers because they don't pray they don't pray them from the right heart. That's what I mean by having that pure heart. That's what I mean by you're not sabotaging your marriage and your prayer because you're talking about just you and what you want or he needs to change. Another one is, like I was mentioning, examining your heart, change me, Lord. What do I need to do? Like when I asked him years ago about the communication and he told me that, I said, okay, so I got to work on my attitude when he tells me things. I got to work on my listening skills because sometimes I just want to be like, whatever, and I just want to talk. And he noticed that, so that wasn't cool, and he would be upset. So that would kind of mess us up, right? And then I want to show the chapter. So listen, these are the ones that you read about. So learning about these different prayers, right? You pray for his work, his finances, his sexuality, his affection, his temptations, his mind, his fears, his purpose, his choices, his health, his protection, his trials, his integrity. Some of y'all probably didn't think of praying these topics. Because when I saw this book and I started reading it, I'm like, oh, his integrity. Why wasn't I thinking about praying for that? Or his trials. I know y'all didn't think about the trials. But then you think like, man, he went through, maybe some child, abandonment or some trauma or, things like that you probably don't really think of praying. You just like, God, that he's better and protected. Like, that's it, right? His choices, that he makes the correct choices. And I might go back to reading this whole book again because, I haven't read it in a while. I read it a few times already, but it's good to just keep going. Or sometimes when you're seeing that your husband's struggling through one of these, you just go to the chapter, right? So for example, his relationships, 125. So you just go to the chapter. And the cool thing about this, if y'all don't have this book, is when you read about the relationship part, at the end of every chapter, it's a prayer, right? It's a prayer. And it's really good because it talks about whatever chapter you want to dig in. So if you're like, let's say you're struggling through, your husband realizing his purpose in life. What is he here for? Who is he here to help or what? Go to the purpose part. Read that, or just read the prayer. Every day, just read that purpose prayer. Or if it's, temptations today, if he tells you the chick at the job was trying to come at him funny, sideways, and he didn't really notice, but you did, go right into the temptation prayer. So that's a good idea. His reputation, his priorities, his relationship, his fatherhood. That's really good. His past, his attitude. Attitude. We might need to do that prayer today. His marriage, his emotions, his walk. That's a good one. His walk. His talk, his repentance, his deliverance, his obedience, his self-image, his faith, his hearing, and his future. So a lot of these things you probably, like when I read this book, because I'm not going to lie, like my prayer for Brandon, like I told y'all, it would be short. Like, okay, Lord, help our relationship, that he is in love with me and wants me and blah, blah, blah. But when I read this book, I was like, yo, I could get so in detail about so many things for my husband where we needed that work. We needed the progress with maybe his purpose, maybe his finances, maybe his relationship, maybe his fatherhood. Maybe if some of you guys are struggling with your husbands, the relationship that they have with their kids, do the prayer of the fatherhood. Read that chapter. And you keep, reading it, keep praying it, keep praying it, keep praying it. And you could be praying 6 months, a year, 3, and you start seeing his heart transform. His behaviors, his attitude, his walk, or whatever you prayed about, you see the changes in that part. And then you start thinking like, man, I was praying about this all this time, and he's already changing that. Or you already can tell. And me, there's times I would tell him, I'd be like, I prayed about that. You didn't know. You didn't know. But I prayed about that 18 times, 3 days in a row, back to back, morning, day, lunch, breakfast. Because we don't have to sit here and be like, oh, hubby, I'm about to pray for you. Oh, I'm about to go do this prayer. No. He don't even know I prayed for him so much. He'd be like, you prayed about that? Yep, sure did. Why you think that happened? Because it's that powerful. Like, why you think that went down? Why you think you got the promotion? Hello? Like, because I've been praying about the money coming up. Why you think, we about to make all this money? Or, why do you think, the relationship with the boys is getting better? Because I pray for the kids and you to have that bond and to have that love and respect. Because, so, again, it's not just about us wives. Why do you think he's so obsessed with me? Like, I prayed about it for years. Like, that he's so into me. And I didn't think it was really going to work out like that. But, God has a sense of humor. And now, like, he's doing a lot of things that is loving me, just randomly. And I didn't, and it's crazy because when I prayed about him being into me again like that, I didn't pray for so much of it. I was just like, that he falls in love with me again, that this or that. But God is so funny. He's such a good person that he sprinkled the extra. Like, you know what? You've been so faithful. You've been such a good praying wife. Let me sprinkle the extra massages that he's going to do every now and then. Let me sprinkle the extra love or the extra phone calls. Because I used to hate he never called me on his lunch break. Wives, y'all know y'all want to talk to your husbands on the lunch break. I used to want to talk to him all the time. Why you want to talk on lunch break? I'm going to see you later. I want to take a nap. I want to go do this. I want to do that. And now we talk most of the time. They don't even got to be lunch. We talking most of the time. He'll call me. If I don't call him in the morning, he'll call me. Hey, babe, you good? And I didn't have all that. I prayed for all that because I used to be like, do you even care about me in the morning with the kids? Like, hey, are y'all good? You chilling? And this was years before. And now I'm seeing like the different fruits of him understanding. Like, hey, it's just, it could be 8, 9 o'clock. Like, yo, I didn't hear from you. You guys okay? The kids, everybody's good? And then that builds more on the marriage. And that builds you guys together. Then you want to talk. And then you'd be like, oh, you're so sexy. And then it turns into a whole other conversation with me. So, but listen, power of a praying wife is so important. It's so big. It's so deep. And what I wanted to tell y'all is next week, I believe it's next week, keep a posting, keep an eye out. I am working on having several other women, several other wives to be on the live with me and discuss. I'm not sure if we're going to go back into the praying wife or we might just get into a different ladies conversation. We might talk about the communication in marriage. We might talk about the intimacy. We might just talk about like the friendship with you and your spouse. I'm not sure exactly what subject we're gonna, what topic, but it's gonna be so good. I'm working on having, I want to say like 3 or 4 other wives, Christian, God-loving wives on the call, on the live, and it's gonna be exciting. I'm setting everything up. I already talked to 2, 3 different females, wives. They're down, they're excited. And one of them, she's been married for like forever. So, and the other one, I also think has been kind of like with me and Brandon. So I'm like super excited. I'm gonna see my cousin that, hops on here a lot. She can kind of chime in with us, so we got some surprises coming up. I'm excited. Just, getting some more wives, we got to just have fun and really just pray, write some prayers down tonight. Remember, I challenged y'all to do, I said 10 a day, because I just be going. I just be talking and praying all the time when I be driving. When, Brandon irritates me during the day and I be like, oh my gosh, I'm like, Lord, I'm about to curse him out. But I'm working on that, right? And you ask for that. Like, okay, give me the patience, like, for me not to curse him out right now. Like, I should not be doing that. That's not nice, because it's a turn off for him, right? But I'm excited. Thank y'all for getting on. If y'all have any comments, questions, let me know. It was such a good call. Huh?
Website.
Go to our website. So I got my producer in the background. See, who would have known? Who would have known? Go to our website, direct.me/Barker Worldwide. Go to our link. There's our YouTubes are on there. I've been putting all of our calls that if you needed to go back to check it out or share it with a friend. Share it with some other marriages, some other couples. You never know. Maybe they might need to hear a little bit more stronger of the praying wife, or they might need to hear, the couples talking about intimacy, or how to, what my husband did one time, how to keep it. What'd you do?
Set the tone.
Setting the tone. He did setting the tone. I did keeping it spicy. If you're out there, wives or spouses, husbands on or whatever, and there's a sexual problem or a need, go to our keeping it spicy for the wife and setting the tone for the husband. That was so good. I promise y'all check those videos out. You might get some that day, okay? Because it was so good, right? It gives y'all some tips, get it, tips. It gives y'all some tips. It gives y'all some help, some encouragement. And just go check it out, different things. And from there, you can even go on our Instagram, which is marriage porn, the acronym for porn. And of course, P for pure, O for open, R for renew, N for navigate. We've been talking about this every Wednesday. We did renew yesterday, and then we're doing navigate next Wednesday. So that's going to be interesting how we, go into navigating, your relationship, your marriage, because at the end of the day, we all need a GPS to continue a prosperous marriage, right? Without that, you're lost. Without a GPS, you're lost, right? So go check that out. Next Wednesday we're on, and then Brandon's gonna be on Monday for Men Monday. Do you know your topic yet? He just comes up with it the day. Well, he don't. The prayer part. Remember the prayer? Yo, that shit. No, I was gonna say that thing is serious. He prays. We do all the time, and every now and then, you might slip up. Because I had one of our friends. He slipped up some curses. I'm like, that's how you pray? He's like, yo, I pray. I talk to Jesus just like that. So, but listen, check us out, direct.me/Barker Worldwide. And thank you for getting on. We like to keep it right at the 45-50-minute mark. I appreciate y'all. Power of a praying wife. Share. This message alone, I do feel and I do think that it can literally change marriages for the positive. It can, bring y'all closer, grow. Wives, get this book. It's super, super good. The Power of a Praying Wife. If you have it, and if you have it, read it again. I might start reading it again too. Maybe we could do a book club, right? Check it out. Thank y'all for getting on. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a blessed one. Turn up. Really? That part?